I'm working constantly with the stuff that comes up, and that becomes my commitment. Not that I know everything, not that it's always comfortable, not that it's pleasant, not that I have it figured out. No. I'm practicing my way into life.
Welcome to Point of Relation with Thomas Hübl, a podcast that illuminates the path to collective healing at the intersection of science and mysticism. This is the Point of Relation. The following episode was recorded during a previous online course with Thomas Hübl. Visit thomashübl.com to learn more about upcoming courses and events.
So one aspect of social evolution, of course, personal evolution, but social evolution, is more people in the society being able to touch deep space, because that's how innovation, insight, updates, creativity comes into being, pops into being. And that's effortless. That's not I need to effort a lot to get there. It's kind of and the second part, I think that we need to ask ourselves, the second question is, do I want to be an ally of life in this time? And with other words, it means, do I want to be here in this time? And of course, some of us might say, yeah, of course I want to be here in this time. But when we look at it deeper, then we can look at, do I want to be in this time, or do I want to be in the change once this time changed? Because there's a difference between being in love with our partner, our intimate partner, or being in love with who our intimate partner can become. Am I in love with the potential that I see, or am I in love with the person that's there? And of course, the potential is part of it, but am I with you for the potential that you can become, or am I with you because I'm with you? Am I with my client for who my client can become, or am I with my client because I'm with my client? With all the defense mechanisms, with all the resistance, with all the progress, with all the process that comes with it, because I'm here. And I think that's a deep, with all the stuff that's going on in our world, am I an ally of life? Do I want to be in? And I think that's a big question also of space. Am I cultivating space to get out, to get somewhere, to, I don't know, get to a spiritual dimension? Or am I becoming more magnetic, and I want to be in this world, even if it looks like it's getting messier and messier? Is this where I want to be? And is this where I want to be, including my resistances, my no to it, my overwhelm, my all of it? It doesn't mean that I'm just a superhero being here, but it's a practice. Same as cultivating space is a practice, bringing more spaciousness into my life. And also not just wanting it, but doing something for it. And for some of us, there is already space in our life. I established a regular meditation practice. I make time space for it. For some of us, it looks like there is not enough time and not enough space. So we need to make space. And making space will allow us to cultivate more of it. So I need to install a practice maybe in my life. And so that's one thing. But the deepest thing is, do I want to get out of here or do I want to get into here? And and find out, first of all, who I am in relationship to this time on the planet, to these circumstances, to what's happening. And and also bring that intelligence of space, because that's a super democratic um, place, because it's accessible to everybody. The deep space intelligence is available to everybody. And once the more we tap into it, the more we see it, even if it looks very still and almost like nothing, it's actually not that innocent. It is innocent, but it's also very powerful. And then the more we bring these two together, I'm an ally of life. I want to be here because I'm also walking my life's question. And the more I walk it sincerely and connected to the depth of my being, I will turn my life question more and more into an answer. I will slowly become a walking answer to the questions that I have in my life. And and that means social transformation. Again, personal transformation, but also social transformation. Because I see, wow, I carry the light and the presence inside to change certain parts of the past, what we could call karma or trauma. We have the power to change that into a new future. And that's amazing. But we reduce that power if we don't want to be here. If we and that in itself again is not a shortcoming. That's what trauma does, not to be here. And and if I honor that, if I notice that in myself and I don't judge it as, oh, I should be here. Every time I say I should be, I know I'm overriding a process. It's not that I should be here. I want to explore the powers of being here and checking out, going out. And I want to learn from both because both are intelligent. And but I'm exploring it. That's the point. Not how should it be, or where am I in life? Where am I in my practice? And then to see if this world is the world that I want to live in. This world is the world where I feel the power of my soul has a contribution to make. Sometimes the contribution is clear to me, sometimes it's not so clear to me. But that's not the point. The point is I practice my way into this life. And and I believe that's what I often call I become a living prayer, walking prayer. That I'm working constantly with the stuff that comes up and that becomes my commitment Not that I know everything, not that it's always comfortable, not that it's pleasant, not that I have it figured out. No, I'm, I'm practicing my way into life. And I think these two things are deeply connected because the curiosity to find out more about this life, even if it seems at least in certain places in the world, very disturbed or painful, and the cultivating space, and space becomes a touch point to future, to presence and future. These two together mean that more and more people bring kind of a silent change. It is not always silent because we don't have a voice, but the stillness brings some change into this world. It's a powerful way to bring innovation on different levels into this world. I'm looking at what's my practice commitment to space, and do I feel that that's sufficient? Maybe for many of us, we have a sufficient practice. Maybe for some of us, we can deepen our practice. So my commitment shows itself through the practice, and my commitment shows itself through exploring my allyship with life. Am I an ally? Am I an ally of life transforming something? And I believe the global situation that we see is also a detox process, and it needs more allies and more magnetism to see, wow, something is detoxing itself through many of us. And we want to be part of the detox process and not get out of it, but allow it. It's like a digestion process. And I think the more we also have spaces where we support each other to do that, it's going to be very that these are powerful resource stations. Even here in the Mystic Cafe, when we come together as a community, when we can feel the collective presence, the collective attunement, it's a resourcing place. It's a place where we can, even if it looks like we don't see anybody on screen from the community, but all our energy fields can be connected. It's a collective wireless data connection, and we are all part of it. So we are all informing each other. We are informing, and we're also transmitting information to inform each other. And we can tune in with that. As we sit here, we can also tune in with the collective space, and we can feel the collective presence that we all build together. And I think that's a very powerful function because it affects everybody and it becomes a learning space.
Collective trauma has universal principles or roots because trauma is painful all over the world. It doesn't matter which cultural field we are coming from. So we want to be mindful of the specificity of trauma, and we want to be educated and connected to the universality of trauma. And that's why we develop a global community, because the intelligence also around the world, with the different wisdom technologies, with the different scientific breakthroughs and the global collaboration, can create a new perspective onto collective trauma that we don't have yet. So it's not that collective trauma is out there. We are all aspects of collective trauma. We all carry some of it in ourselves. And that's why the more we can create a global community, the more we can begin to see and become aware of the massive impacts of collective trauma and begin to heal and build a new world together.
Visit collectivetraumasummit.com or click on the link in this episode's show notes to join the 7th Annual Collective Trauma Summit, a 7-day global gathering guided by over 40 expert leaders in trauma healing, embodiment, somatics, and social change. This year, we've partnered with mission-driven organizations, including the Internal Family Systems Institute, the Embodiment Institute, Poetry Unbound, and more, to help you deepen your understanding of trauma and see how healing can become a force for transformation in your life, your community, and the world. We hope you'll join us.
It seems like that many topics right now in the world really call for like a deeper presencing, but also to see if collective identity structures are changing, if the speed of data is accelerating like crazy, if our if we need to grow into a global collaborative system or a global data system inside and outside, if we need to heal certain large scale wounds for us to pop into this kind of new collaborative system that can deal with global challenges, then a certain detox of our past, this is trauma and transgression, needs to happen. We cannot change by staying old, which means being identified with old, unrecognized, and unintegrated wounds. We can only change when the destiny that is connected to our state changes. Destiny meaning unconscious energy. So when the destiny is released, when we become aware of unconscious processes or entanglements, we can become somebody new. Otherwise, we are developing new technologies maybe, but then we look at social media and we see the same fragmentation that we also see in neighborhoods or that we see in other areas in the world. So yeah, there's a technological upgrade, but there's a similar human dynamic happening that maybe increases the intensity of the collective fragmentation. So change means we really become someone new that we don't know. Restoration means including the trauma, restoring the transgression into a new version of ourselves that we don't know yet. So we have partly a new face. That's real transformation. That's real wisdom generation or evolution. And so in being willing to be in the detox of the social change means we stop putting a good idea onto something we need to change, but we support the process to become the change. And so that means that through all of us, individual issues start to detox, especially when we build safe spaces for it, but also ancestral data, some data that our ancestors needed to hold very deeply because it was too much, can suddenly begin to melt. Collective information in spaces when it's safe enough, collective trauma can start to become movement, show up on the surface of our consciousness instead of being deeply buried in the collective unconscious. And it can begin to make its way into the light of our consciousness, be metabolized, be welcomed. I'm curious about the past because I know how much future how much innovation is in undigested past, and it becomes my learning. And so that process is, sometimes we want to suppress the stuff that comes up because it's too overwhelming, or we think something is wrong when we feel that way, or something should be different. But that I know that I'm in a living archaeology, and some of the frozen layers, they are life, but they are held life. And even the holding is life. It's intelligence. So all of that starts to move and the world wants to evolve. And I think the more we bow down to that process, we actually become an ally of health, become an ally of the self-healing mechanism. Because that's what the self-healing mechanism wants to do. It wants to detox stuff in order to clean the system, to make the system more healthy, psychologically, physically, relationally, collectively, culturally, spiritually. It's to shed layers, to make space to be refreshed, like a browser refreshed. And so more vitality comes also with refreshing the browser. So space, being an ally of life, seeing the detox mechanism of life and how life wants to heal itself, become an ally of that healing process, I think is a deeply devotional spiritual practice.
This episode was recorded during a session of the Mystic Cafe, a global membership community with Thomas Hübl, featuring live teachings, meditations, discussions, and Q&A, all taking place online. To learn more or to become a member of the Mystic Cafe, visit www.mysticcafeonline.com.
Thanks for listening to Point of Relation with Thomas Hübl. Stay connected and get updates about new episodes by visiting our website, pointofrelationpodcast.com, and by subscribing to the Thomas Hübl YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share about us with your community on social media. Thank you. We appreciate your support.